Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dragon Talk.
Yeah! Dragon Talk! Dragon Talk!
We are on for a wonderful 4 hours of recording Dragon Talk for you all. It is 11 a.m. on this wonderful Friday. I'm Greg Tito, and I'm joined by Shelly Mazzanoble.
Hello!
Shelly!
Yay!
And we have the wonderful Rob Twohy here.
Yay!
Hi, Rob.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
It's
Very-
not a lie.
It's
You're
not a
here.
lie. I'm here.
You made it.
Yeah, it's true.
We
Yes.
believe you. We passed your
We
deception
believe
check.
I rolled a 15,
You did it.
and then it was okay.
Nice. You are a very large donor to my Extra Life page,
Extra
so
Life.
thank you.
Yay!
Yes.
I don't have children myself, so I had to help others' children.
Got to help the
That's nice
kids.
of
Got to help the
you.
kids.
Got to do it. Thank you so much. I think that was a wonderful donation to allow you to come here and be a big part of this interview.
I'm
So
happy to do it.
You
That's
just
nice.
made at least 3 kids happy, maybe even more.
All right, at least 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that.
Let's
I'm
go.
I'm gonna pretend it's more later.
Let's go with more. Let's say 33.
33. Okay.
Yes.
Wow,
That's a lot.
that went way up fast.
All right,
Definitely
333, but that's my
wow,
final
it's
offer.
just all 3s.
More than I've ever made it.
That's more children than you've ever. Okay.
Made happy.
Made happy.
Made happy.
Yeah, they,
And made.
They usually just. Yeah, you have 300.
How many?
Everyone knows there's 2.
You're like you've
Quinn
donated
and
your
Kesha.
eggs and Is Kesha gonna be? She donated to my page. I would totally have her on.
To your page?
Yeah. Do you think she
Not
would
even
donate?
her own mother's page? Been trying.
She's been trying to get in touch with you for like decades, and you keep
Kesha,
avoiding her.
Just go to my Extra Life page. Make a donation,
It's the
and I'll
way.
totally
It's
call
easy
you
to do.
back.
I am in charge of the videos today, so here I'm gonna try this. What does that do? Oh my God, that doesn't work at all.
We're
We need to-
delayed.
We need to stay with that, and I don't look like I have buttons on each one of us, so we're gonna be in wide this whole time. It looks like
Great.
I'm good with it.
we're good. So welcome, Rob.
Thank
you
you.
are, in addition to being a wonderful donor, you are a avid player of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
You work with Fantasy Grounds as
Yes.
you are displaying
Yes.
blazoned across your chest there.
Oh, do we have to put tape over that?
No, we
No,
do
'Cause
not.
You guys are sponsors of Fantasy Grounds.
We are.
work
They're a
with
licensee, a
Yes,
partner,
yes.
a digital distribution partner. In addition to Doug and that entire team there just being awesome. They've been to, I believe, every single one of the events
They've
that I
started
put
with
on.
the stream of, yeah, I think they've been to every one.
Yeah, I think we're even in like the proto one that was before it was in LA
The
at
Meltdown
the
one?
Meltdown Comic
Yep.
Con. I believe they were there too.
Wow.
Yeah, so love all of the work that they do. The tabletop, their virtual tabletop that they have is, as a PC gamer, it's very robust and
It's
it
fantastic.
pushes all the levers for me.
And the Unity version is imminent.
Yes.
Coming out like maybe January.
I remember seeing some prototypal videos that Doug showed me of that a few years ago.
It's
and it just
fantastic.
looked
yeah.
amazing.
It's amazing. It's going to be, I'm super excited about it.
So for folks who might not know about Fantasy Grounds and how to use it, what's your quick elevator pitch?
Fantasy Grounds elevator pitch is a virtual tabletop tool, not a video game, but allows you to play RPGs. The most popular of one of which is Dungeons and Dragons, and
And
it's
the best.
got.
I'll just say
It's
that.
the best. It is, and 70
world's greatest.
70% of players play that. So there you go. And you can roll dice. You can move tokens on maps. It does calculations for you. It has a combat tracker. You can keep track of all the NPCs and the players. And I mean, I'm just barely scratching the surface. And it basically facilitates a game so that you can play with maybe you had a group that you had in high school or whatever, and then now they're scattered everywhere. You can still play.
I love
Get
that
the
story.
group back together.
That's right. And all the official D&D content is on there. So there you go. It's awesome.
So what is your role there?
I am actually one of the community developers.
Oh.
So I have, if you go to the store, I have 45 titles in there that I've developed.
Like original content?
Stuff from Wizards of the Coast,
Oh.
stuff from other companies, let's not name them. And,
You can, it's okay.
but they're actually, I'm a 5e guy, so it's all third party, like Cobalt Press. I did the Tome of Beasts, I did the Creature Codex.
Mm-hmm.
I know Wolfgang's been here to talk about that. I did Rick and Morty. I did the adventure. People are wondering why I'm pointing to the floor. There's a copy of it sitting down there.
So by doing it, you mean taking the
Taking-
content and transferring it into Fantasy Grounds?
Into Fantasy Grounds. Yeah, I did Acquisitions Incorporated,
Nice.
Wayfinder's Guide, and then many other titles. And then I'm also a social media consultant for them. So I put out tips every Friday, and then I also there's a few of us on the team, and we, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm the Twitter guy, the tweets and the Twitters. If somebody gets a message back on Twitter, that was me.
Sweet.
Oh.
And so so it's a lot of fun. And Doug hired me to do that in the beginning of 2018, and he said, why don't I just give you official access to the Facebook and Twitter account, and you can just keep doing what you were doing anyway, which is promoting Fantasy Grounds,
right? And
then I'll give you money for it. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. I like it.
That sounds.
So I do that for them.
That's how work works.
Yes,
that's
that
how,
is
yeah,
called a job. You do this thing, and in exchange, you get money.
That's right.
That you could pay for goods and services.
Or just repurchase Fantasy Ground stuff and D&D stuff,
Yes.
and then it all just comes in my house, and it's a giant stack.
It's a cycle.
It
it's
is
a cycle.
a vicious cycle. So
Or-
when you were doing the Rick and Morty D&D adventure, what did you think of it?
I was cracking up because
Loaded
I really
question.
love. We won't experience.
Tell me what you thought of it.
We won't experience this here today, but I'm even though I'm a very pleasant, nice young man, I am a foul-mouthed individual in my regular
Me
life.
too.
No shit.
And so I really enjoyed the swear words that were bleeped out, and I was just telling Shelly before we started that I just binged all 33 episodes of Rick and Morty on.
No way.
Yeah. So, and I had never seen it, and I'm about to read the comics. I started to do that this morning on my phone, but it was too small, and I can't see. And so I'm really happy about that content. And when I was converting the module, I just was cracking up as I was doing it. I mean, it was just hilarious. Yeah.
And
I
you
can't
had
wait to play
not
it.
watched the Rick and Morty episode.
No, when I did that, I had not yet
See?
watched the show.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
You play the game, and you're like, this Rick and Morty stuff is amazing.
You can start over here and
then-
do the game
yeah.
into the show, or you can watch the show and go into the game. It
Yep.
doesn't matter.
No, but it's still entertaining, even if you're not a huge watcher of the show or reader of the comics.
Absolutely.
It's still funny.
I was laughing already. It kind of inspired me to want to really watch the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Glad that we could lower your productivity.
Oh, anything that I can do to delay or, what's the word? Procrastinate.
Yes.
Yeah, anything that comes. Oh, look, my phone might have a mark on it. I don't have to work for the next hour.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to learn how to fold a fitted sheet right now instead of.
How do you do that?
I don't know. You know what? You just ball it up and throw it in your.
That's how
closet.
I do it.
That's what I've learned.
Like, who cares,
Yeah,
really?
just burn it.
Target.
Yeah, just put it on fire.
There
and
are
then you put it away.
instructions to do that, but I think
yeah.
your idea is better.
Yeah.
Just
But
buy a
why?
new one every
Why
week.
Why
do you
have
ha-
sheets anyway?
You don't need it.
What's the deal with sheets?
My wife's listening to this and being like, "He's in whatever." Because when I was in college and lived by myself, I don't think I laundered my sheets
Oh,
like ever.
oh no! You got to do that.
I mean, once a semester when I went home and I did it. Yes.
really?
Yeah.
It didn't feel gross when you got.
No,
in
and I
there?
also was back when I was, smoking a lot of cigarettes and things like that. So it certainly
eating your meals in bed. You don't.
That had to
Yes.
be so great.
Yeah, that was the only things I was doing in those bed. Because I was mostly playing Dungeons and
Smoking and
Dragons.
eating and
Smoking and
playing
eating.
D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Every now and again, a D20 would stub your.
Yeah. The
toe.
sheets, my sheets were also black, which was also great because
What, did they start off that way?
No.
By the end of college.
They were.
They were totally.
We're veering into some, comedic comedy humor words that are synonyms with that.
Yes.
And you have a funny story about how you got into Dungeons and Dragons. Is that right?
Yes, I do. I'm old, so
it's a funny
I was 15 in 1981, and my friend who I met at high school was carrying around the Player's Handbook, like the 1978 printed or 1979 printed version of the Player's Handbook, and he was getting beat up, because back in the day it wasn't cool to play D&D. You were a devil worshiper, and it was bad, right?
Right.
Way back when, until people realized it was cool, which I did right away. And so he invited me over to his house, and he goes, he tells me about the game. Oh, you play wizards and fighters, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in, whatever it is. So we go to his house, and we're all 15, and none of us had ever played. So he finds this guy who's a dungeon master, and
How did he find him?
I don't know how he found him, but I think it was just somebody, in fact, a family friend.
Oh, okay.
And his name was Kevin, and he was 12.
Oh,
And we were 15.
Wow.
So we go over there to his house, and it's a basement, we're on the pool table, and it's a dark, with wood paneling. It's just what you think it is.
yeah.
And we pour over the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide for like 4 hours, creating our characters on those yellow first edition
Yeah.
AD&D, excuse me, AD&D sheets. And I was a wizard, so I rolled my D4. I had 2 hit points. I was very excited. I had my spells. It was all ready to go.
2 hit points?
2 hit points, yeah. You rolled a D4 for hit points in AD&D. So we're there. The scene is set. I think we even lit a candle. It was just a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so this kid, this 12-year-old Kevin, who's going to be in charge of the game, said, and this is, I'm 4 hours in now, and we'd start. And he says, okay, you guys are walking down a dark alley, and you see some people in distance. He takes a note, and he writes a note, and he passes it to me.
Oh.
I open this note, and it says, you have been hit in the chest with a crossbow bolt. You are dead. Do not say anything to anyone else. And I looked at him, and I went, F you, and F this game, and F all y'all, and I'm effing out of here. And I picked the table up to flip it, but it's like an 800-pound oak table. I'm storming out, and my friend stops me, and he's like, "Wait, Rob." And I, when I was 15, I was a very angry young man, and
Many of us are.
Then he stops me, pulls me back, and he goes, "Hey, Kevin, you can't. We've been playing 25 seconds. You can't just kill him." So he convinces me to come back. And then I sit down and we regroup and we start again and we play. And if he hadn't pulled me back, I'm not sitting at this table with you guys today.
Man.
So what did Kevin do? Did he resurrect you, or did he say just
no,
kidding?
Just kidding.
We
was a weird dream.
He didn't say just kidding, which would have been a good move for him because I hate him now for the last 35 years.
Kevin.
But he did say, let's pretend that didn't happen and we'll start again. And I was like, good move, kid. 3 years younger than me.
Well, I wonder what his strategy was to have one of the players immediately be dead.
God complex? I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
What was the hook for the story?
Were you going to come back as a zombie or something like that? Because if you don't tell anyone, maybe
he never explained it.
That does. I know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. This 12-year-old kid, but
that's the most I remember about the story because, of course, most of the rest of what else happened, I blocked out because I was so angry. It was like a traumatic. I have PTSD from that
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, getting that crossbow bolt in the chest will do that to you.
Kevin grew up to be.
Kevin grew up to be.
He changed his name.
He was so humiliated.
I know. I was trying to think of a Kevin.
Town. I know. We don't have any Kevin.
Kevin DiCello. No, I don't.
Kevin DiCello.
Maybe he's still playing. I don't know. Maybe
he could be.
Maybe Kevin's learned since then.
Maybe he's watching.
Kevin, if you're watching,
please tell us.
We need to hear the other side of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was this going?
I dare you to tell the other side of the story. Yeah, I don't know if there's any.
So did you keep playing with Kevin after that?
No. Oddly enough, he was never welcome back. And I had nothing to do with that, but I was happy about it.
Right.
And then I played D&D for 6 straight years, and when I was in the Army, and I played up to 87. And my favorite thing was we played the entire Dragonlance, like the DL1 through DL16 modules. We played all those while I was in the Army, and it kept us sane in Korea. Cool. So
So who was your dungeon master after you got
another guy that was in the Army? He came one day and said, when I was in Korea, we slept 4 to a room and 2 bunk beds. That's how it was over there.
Yeah.
And one guy said, does anybody ever play D&D? And the 3 of us went, yeah. And we're like, oh my God. And that was just took off from right there.
That's cool.
And you got to go to the PX, the exchange store in Seoul, and buy everything half price or whatever.
They had D&D.
They had D&D there. Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
I know it's like nowadays it's very, very common to find.
Yeah.
We do a lot of support for our troops when they're overseas and all, but
even back then,
I'm surprised that they would have it.
You had to go to Seoul, and I was like 50 miles away from that. And so I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. One time I took a ride in a Huey helicopter to go to Seoul, and my only mission was to get D&D stuff and then come back.
Nice.
And the pilot that I knew said, yeah, I'll take you.
Sweet.
Did he play D&D too?
And it's the only time I've ridden in a couple other helicopters, but the only time I've ever ridden in a Huey was to go get D&D stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you accomplished your mission.
I did. I got my mission. And then I went back and we played, and then I played till 87, and then I took a 22-year break. And then in 2009, I started back with 4th edition.
What made you take a break? Just kind of like coming back home? And
trying to be a stand-up comic.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to go to L.A.
D&D helps with that,
It does.
So
it does help.
It does. Your improv skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your players don't know that you're just making everything up.
Right.
They don't know.
So you went to L.A. to pursue this?
I did. I lived in Phoenix for 10 years and L.A. for 10 years, and I started when I was in Phoenix, and I was part of a comedy team for 5 years, and then I did it on my own. And I did that until I got sick and had to quit. Yep.
And then
What was your? You mind if I talk about stand-up comedy for a little bit?
no, let's do that.
Yeah, because I'm very interested. What's it like? What's the scene like in Phoenix, and what gave you that like idea to start there?
So I actually I went to broadcasting school in Spokane in the late '80s, and then I wanted to move to LA. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor, but stand-up comedy was easier.
What?
And I found myself.
It's like the opposite for you.
Yeah.
I found myself just naturally falling into it and then getting gigs and going, oh, this is easier than what acting would be because you have to audition and stuff. So I get together with my girlfriend at the time and another guy I went to broadcasting with and his wife, and we vote. We're going to go to L.A. or San Diego, and we vote. And they outvoted me 3-1 San Diego, and then we moved to Phoenix. It was crazy. It was nuts.
I don't know if that makes sense.
San Diego,
it doesn't make
you
sense.
meant
It doesn't
Phoenix.
make sense.
Got it.
So I end up in Phoenix, and I'm there 10 years. But while I was there, I joined an improv troupe and started doing stand-up, and then got good enough to where I could move to L.A. And so then I lived in L.A. for 10 years, and I was touring around the country and doing gigs there in L.A. at the Comedy Store and the Improv and the Laugh Factory and stuff. And then I got sick.
What was that like being at the Comedy Store?
It was good.
What era was that? Was it like the early '90s? Is that what you're talking about?
This is I moved to LA in '99, so from '99 to 08,
Okay.
I was doing comedy there.
Who
And
were some of the bigger names that were coming up around that time?
well,
Just to give
one
people some
of my really
context.
good friends is Dat Fan. He's the guy that won the first year of Last Comic Standing.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
yeah,
no
I'm still
way.
friends with them.
That's cool.
And there's other comics that I knew, and I knew about I had a website about comedy, and I had open mic postings and stuff, and so I knew about 400 comedians that were all at my level, which was not famous on TV.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just getting to where I was coming up there, but then I had to get a liver transplant, so then that all came to an end. But it was fun, and the reason I would have agents and managers come up to me because my act was basically a lot of improv and crowd work.
Oh, okay.
And I had set pieces that I did, but I usually didn't do them. It was more fun to say, "Hey, what's your name?" and just talk to people and do that.
Yeah, that was always a part of the thing that I couldn't master. I only did it for about 3 years, so I don't really have the 2 decades of experience that you had doing it. But I was always really impressed with the folks who could. They had jokes that they leaned on when they were doing crowd work.
Yeah.
But it felt so different for each audience they were doing it. Jessica Kirson is the one that I always touted as being the best. She was on Last Comic Standing. I don't think she ever won, but she would just walk into a room and she had bits that she would do, but they would be basically different for each individual
That's
that she
right.
connected with, and it felt new and fresh each single time, even though she had tropes that she could lean onto, and it was and other comics would think it was funny. That was the real ultimate test. Is that other comics are very hard to make laugh.
So I was a comics comic, and
Yeah.
all the comics in the back would laugh at my stuff, and then the audience would laugh if they were involved, and then sometimes they wouldn't and whatever. But that was what I kept getting told by agents and managers that would approach me after a show. They'd say, "Rob, you're really funny, but you don't have a POV. We can't get a sitcom for you. We can't do anything with you because you're funny, but we don't understand
What's
what
your character? How
exactly.
do we
What's your
translate that
character?
into something? Yeah.
So that was, and the reason I chose to do that was just because I saw other comics and I worked with other comics and we wrote together and stuff. And to me, what makes someone famous is they just go do the same material over and over and over and over and over. And that's how you're supposed to do it. But to me, I was so bored. I just was bored saying the same thing every night to the different people. So each one of my shows that you went to, you could come to my show 5 times in a row and it'd never be the same.
completely different, right?
So I was doing it more for me.
I also, tell me if you experienced this too, but whenever I met comics, the first question would always be, how long have you been doing this?
Yes.
How long have you been doing this?
That's still a question.
And I instinctively did it too. When we started talking about it, I'm like, shit, I just did that. But that used to annoy me so much because it wasn't whether you were funny or not. It was how long you persisted was the status.
Is it better if you persisted longer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
if you've been doing it for 15 years, people are
years,
like, oh, respect. If you said
Really?
like anything less than that, they're like, oh, well, you haven't done it as long as I have, so you don't deserve any success. Was the subtext behind that question.
Comics are like that because stand-up comedy is the one and only job that any person can walk up to a microphone and then proclaim, "This is my job." There's no other job you can do that. You have to audition.
Podcast
I was going to say,
college.
actually, that's
Podcast is
that's
close.
kind of like how we started doing Dragon Talk.
Kevin, the dungeon master,
Yeah,
same deal.
yeah,
He's
that's
like,
true.
I'm a dungeon master.
And now you're dead.
I'm a musician. It happened, yeah, right?
Did you ever
but-
work D&D into your routine?
I do now. I mean, I kind of, we were talking about it before the show. I kind of do comedy. I make more money now doing comedy on stream than I ever did as a stand-up. But when I was doing my act, I might have mentioned it, but it was never a concentration because I wasn't playing at the time. Greg asked me why did I stop playing, and it was because I was trying to go be an actor and be a comic.
Right.
And it's funny because if I hadn't have got sick and didn't move back to Spokane, I probably would be in that crowd of what's the comic store?
The comedy store.
No, the comics. It's a comic store where like
Meltdown.
D&D started.
Meltdown.
Meltdown. Yeah, Meltdown.
Yeah.
I would probably be part of that crowd if I
Right.
was still there. Yeah.
That's cool. So you mentioned a couple times getting sick. What happened? What was all that?
So after eating junk food every day for 30 years, don't do that.
You at home, kids.
Yeah, don't do it. I had gotten really sick, and a good friend of mine, Amy Anderson, told me, you should go to the hospital. So I did.
Whoa.
And they said, actually I went to urgent care, and they were testing me, and then they came in and they said, put your clothes on, get your shoes on, get in your car, don't stop, don't pass go directly to UCLA. You have a problem we can't help you with.
Wow.
Scared me really bad.
What was happening to you?
I was really distended.
Oh, okay.
I had I looked really thin in the face, and I would have a big overcoat on. I'd go to the Improv on Melrose Avenue, and they'd say, "Oh, you're losing weight. You look really great." And I'm like, "No,
I'm not."
And so, but I was sick. So they found out I had liver disease. They told me I needed a new liver, and they said, "Do you have a girlfriend or a wife?" At the time, no. Any family here in California? No. California won't transplant you. You need to go back to Washington. So I did.
Wow.
And then that was in 2008. And in 2014, I got a liver transplant. So for 6 years, I just laid on a bed all day. My life was going to the grocery store, going to the doctor, going to the dentist, lay on the bed.
Ouch.
That was my life for 6 years.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was
So
terrible.
So the disease was a result of diet, or was it genetics, or like what
Both.
Okay.
They initially diagnosed me with what's called NASH, NASH, which is non-stasio I can't remember the name of it now. Something stasio-hepatitis, which is oddly not a form of hepatitis. It's really weird. And they said it was just a result of fatty tissue built up. Because I was never a drinker. I didn't drink alcohol or anything like that.
Yeah,
which is
what
they
what
think.
you associate with liver disease.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, right when they said you have a liver problem, you need to go to AA. And I was like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so, and then I've been transplanted 5 years ago. About 2 years ago, they came to me, 3 years after, they came to me and said, you know what, we think it might have been more genetics related. We've done some more studies, and you had bad parents is really what it turned out to be. Yeah.
I mean, gosh, your parents were so terrible.
Quinn is
Yeah, they were terrible too.
doomed.
And then, not to ruin everyone's day, but this is what makes my life really great about D&D and about being here with you guys today. And I'm not going to cry, but during my liver surgery, my mother passed away while I was being operated on.
Oh, for
my
God's
goodness,
sake.
really?
Sucks, yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
So
God.
I know. I woke up. I found out about that. I came home. I convalesced. I found Fantasy Grounds, and then I found online community. Started a Discord. Started streaming. Didn't have any idea. Turn on Twitch. Boom, microphone. That's it. I didn't know anything. And all the way to today.
What did you start streaming when you?
D&D.
You just were
Yeah, I
running
have
games on
Games,
Twitch?
yeah.
Like,
I have almost 900 videos on YouTube, and the majority of those are 3-hour D&D sessions.
That's amazing.
So I've done Curse of Strahd, Tomb of Annihilation, all of them.
I love hearing stories like that where you're like, here's all this adversity, here's something that just sucks. And to be able to find solace in playing this game with other people,
Yeah.
and where and being able to convalesce and do it through Fantasy Grounds, so you didn't necessarily have to leave the house or
Right.
doing anything that
Right.
that could injure you. Like that's just amazing. That something like to be perfectly honest, a fantasy game can
and
have such a profound impact on you.
I've had people that I've met online, Discord server and on Twitter or whatever, come to my Twitch shows and stuff. And there's been about 3 or 4 people that I've talked to that have had really bad, whether it was a divorce or just, some negative adversity in their life. And they've really, jumped into the community and found something to do, even if it's not for me, it's kind of a job, which I love. But even to just occupy some of their time, I mean, it's such a great social game. I mean, we all know, you guys know that you meet people, you talk to them, you make friends. And then eventually, and we've even had the Denver and Dragons on my hat is a few of us decided in 2017 to get together. This is so funny. Get together at one place with all of our laptops and play Fantasy Grounds in the room.
Oh my gosh.
And so
You're doing it wrong.
I know, we're doing it wrong. So we went to Denver, and then we went to Denver again, and then we went to Whistler.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And then we did a part of it was the Alpha Party for Fantasy Grounds in Florida in August. And our next trip is Washington, D.C. in September of 20.
Ooh,
The same
cool.
group of people keeps.
Yeah, it's a
does
group of about 8 or 9 rotating people. Usually there's 5 or 6 there.
Wow.
And then we just, when someone can't make it or drop out, we just invite the next person. You know,
Yeah.
people that basically hang out on the Rob Twohy Discord is who gets in.
That's pretty sweet.
But yeah,
It
really.
reminds me of like people meeting on like guilds and MMOs and then meeting up together.
Same
and
thing.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
So at some point you started DMing.
I started to DM in 2009 with 4th edition and haven't really stopped.
So what was the impetus for you?
I was only a player in the 80s with AD&D, and then when I came back to D&D in 2008 or 9 with 4th edition, I was doing it at the gaming store. I would go and meet up with like the Adventurers League groups and stuff. And then somebody said to me, "Have you ever DM'd?" And I'm like, "Oh, no. And I was like, "Oh, no."
That's not for me.
And somebody said, "Oh, you should really try it." And I did one of the Adventurers League 4th edition ones, and I'm like, bit.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's on.
Yeah.
And I just never stopped.
Wow.
And I love to play. And as a matter of fact, all of the games on my channel right now, I'm DMing none of them.
Oh.
But I love to DM. I love it.
Do you inject humor into your sessions when you're
I
playing?
try to do that.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of swearing and bad words.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were a blue
my
comic.
channel's
You went
like
blue
it,
as much as you
yeah.
could.
as much as I could. It's 18 and above, Shelly. So
Okay.
it's not for you.
So I can't watch it.
No.
Right.
So you're like what, 12?
Right.
Do you know Kevin?
You had
I do.
Wait, are
Kevin
you Kevin?
He's my child.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Kevin and
He's
Kesha.
still 12. Yeah.
Wait, is
Twins.
Kevin Kesha?
Oh my god. The story just keeps evolving.
It's better and better.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, again, you have way more experience doing stand-up than I do, but I got the same rush from a session of dungeon mastering Dungeons and Dragons as I did like walking off of a stage
It's
after
true.
a good set.
It's true. Yeah. The only difference is it's 5 people instead of 500. But
Right.
Otherwise, it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're making them laugh. You're getting,
Yeah.
because I've always said this about stand up. It is the only job where it's just dig me. You have to get my persona and enjoy it. And that's
Right.
it. And
You
dungeon
get
mastering
immediate
is very
feedback.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And you know right away
Right.
if it's not going well. Dungeon mastering is very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously have a story and you're prepping and all that things, but it is you controlling that room.
And you can tell.
And you can tell if
immediately
it's not working.
going well.
And there's all this dungeon master advice that's like, read the room and blah, 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 and,
Yeah.
and curtail yourself to make sure that people are happening. And those are the same lessons that apply to stand-up comedy, too.
Yeah. I used to have a joke I did to the audience if it wasn't going so well. I'd say, you guys, I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun, but it doesn't seem you're having that great of a time. So here, let me tell you what's going to happen. If the show goes really well and you guys laugh, the owner's going to come up to me after and go, "Hey, Rob, great show. Here's your check." And if you guys don't laugh and don't have a good time, the owner's going to come up to me after the show and go, "Hey, Rob, not so good. Here's your check." So either way, I'm going to get paid. So it's up to you to laugh or not, And I just kind of get them back that way if they were. But a lot of times I'd be doing, a show in, BFE, Oklahoma in a bar.
Yeah.
And then they're there to drink. They're not here to hear the comic anyway.
that's
so
always true.
Yeah, you got to do what you have to do. But.
What was the worst room you've ever been in?
Well,
Or not even just room, but like situation.
okay, so I had a comedy partner for a while, Twohy and Klein. What's up, Ray? He's
What's
not
up, Ray?
watching. He
Hi,
doesn't.
Ray
he doesn't
Klein.
He doesn't even know what D&D is.
Oh.
Robert Klein?
It was Robert Klein. Yeah, yeah.
Calvin Klein?
I was just underneath him with the mic. No, but we were doing our act at like a restaurant, and it was someone's birthday. Some girl who it was her 21st birthday, so she got blitzed. And during our act, she went to the salad bar, scooped out a bunch of coleslaw, or no, what's the one? The drippy mayonnaise. I guess
Yeah,
that's
that's
coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
Walked up to the stage and
No.
just plopped it at our feet during our bit. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So we stopped the show for a second, and then I just looked at him and winked, and then we made a whole 20 minutes out of that,
Nice.
and just made her birthday the best birthday ever. But that was the scariest moment. That they, like, what are we gonna do? And my friend wasn't as much of an improver as I was, but that's why I winked at him and I said, just trust me.
Go with it.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I can remember is I was doing a show in Colorado, and a drunk guy came at the stage, and we had mic stands, and he stepped on the mic stand, and the mic bust me in the lip like that.
Ooh.
So yeah, I got hurt.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's not NFL football, but I mean, you can get injured.
It's also like stand-up comedy is also like you're doing your job in an environment that sort of encourages drunken rowdy
exactly.
behavior. Like can you imagine if like here at Wizards, everybody was just kind of drunk and demanding entertainment, except like not
Never
just
you,
me.
though, no.
Right.
Oh, only you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will also say that environment is a lot more conducive to making people laugh than you think.
Yeah.
Like, because you guys get this all the time too. Oh, you're a stand-up comedy. Tell me a joke in a conversation, and you're like, my material just doesn't work.
It doesn't
That's a
translate
hard.
that way.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, tell me a joke. I just say, if you want to laugh, run my credit. That's all you have to do. Which oddly, my credit's really good now. But it wasn't.
It used to be funny.
Yeah, it used to be funny.
Yeah, right.
They don't know.
But like, yeah, the idea about having like a microphone in front of people with lights on, like people are just there to laugh, and it's a lot more forgiving than you think.
Such a good audience member
Oh,
at
me
a
too.
comedy.
You're a great laugher.
I am ready. I am just like, I'm going to laugh. Like when you walk out on stage, I'm already smiling.
No matter what you're
and ready.
doing.
Yes. It takes a lot to make me turn against someone.
Yes.
And not think they're funny. Sometimes I laugh so much that I'm like, I'm tired. I can't laugh anymore.
Oh yeah, your
So
face can
I
literally get tired.
I'm laughing on the inside, but this is as much as I can do. Smile.
Well, and the reason why, I mean, the worst experience I had was at a wedding. I was asked to do stand-up at a wedding, and it was, at the time I was like, this is going to be, they're fans, they were theater people, so I'm like, they pitched this like being like, we're going to have like a bunch of performances. It's going to be, it's a show. It's not a wedding. It's going to be all thing. We're going to have this dance troupe. We're going to do this. Someone's going to sing this song, blah, blah, blah. And then, you'll come on and do this. And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. I'd only known these people for about 6 months. They were my D&D group. So it is relevant people. That's why I knew them, was that I had met them through playing Dungeons and Dragons together. And I get there at the event, and it's one of those like, let's give the mic to everybody to give toasts moment, not a show like I had expected. So everybody, string of people have been coming up and being like, oh, I've known these, they're the best, they're so in love, they're so great, let's give a big round of applause, well, everything's great. The brother of the groom comes up, he's like, we don't really hang out, we don't talk to each other, he plays D&D, I always thought that was stupid, but you're an adult now and I really love you and you're my brother, and there's like this estranged brother like coming back together moment, and everyone's like, oh, that's so great, yay. And then the bride comes up and she sings a song and she's tearing, like full on tears, blah, 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 oh, I love you so much, blah, blah. Literally takes a deep breath and is like, and for the final thing is Greg Tito going to do some stand-up comedy.
No.
And I come up and I'm like, everybody's looking at me expectating like to do another toast. I gave one joke and most of my set was about making fun of being married because I thought that was the subject. First one totally like does not land. And then I'm like, all right, switching tracks. These people are great. I met them playing Dungeons and Dragons. Everyone loved Dungeons and Dragons, right? And got a little bit of laugh from that. And then I was like, they're wonderful. Toast, everyone. Goodbye. I'm out of here.
I love this story. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then I ended up turning it into a bit that I used in my act later on as being like,
was-
this is the most awfulest thing, that could ever happen.
Yeah, a little context maybe when you ask somebody to do that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
They felt bad. They came up immediately after and were like, what drink can I get you? We're so sorry. We did that to you. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, people don't get, they think stand-up
Right
comedy, you can just
around.
come to any
And just do
place
it.
where there's people and do it, and it's not like that.
It's not at all.
No.
Yeah. And speeches at a wedding have a very specific, like format to them. You can't really deviate and make fun of being married while you're celebrating marriage.
Let me
Bad
try and
idea.
talk you out of this, you guys.
Yeah. It'd be like having a dungeon master who's like, hey, this game is stupid, isn't it? And you're like, wait, no, I don't say that.
Stupid. It's Andrew Dice Clay
Hey.
playing D&D.
Bada bing.
Forget about it. D&D, no.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thankful that you haven't had an experience as bad as that one.
I mean, I'm sure I've had bad experiences, but the
Block
one
them
I
out.
told was the one that came to mind right away when
You
you
block
asked
them
me.
out. That is
Yeah, you
true.
block
You
them
do
out.
block
You
them
have
out.
to. So when you do your routine and you're like choosing someone from the audience to interact with, this is relevant. This will become relevant to D&D, I promise. How are you choosing that person?
I can tell by looking in their eyes whether it's going to be good or not.
That's why I don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
At these shows.
And I've actually
No, not me.
just to challenge myself. I have a few times looked down at the table at the person going like this, and I'm like, you, sir, who's avoiding my gaze at table number 3, and then I'll try to engage them just to see if I can do it.
Yeah.
So what
But-
do you pick the person who's like looks like they want to be engaged with, or looks the drunkest?
but there's a bit, it depends on how drunk they are, because there's also people who really want to engage you, and you don't want that guy.
Yeah, because they want to be like, the center of attention.
But I'll ask, is somebody have their birthday, and you, ma'am, how old?
Okay.
It's rude to ask a woman how old they are, how much you weigh. And then, but I would, but you have to pick the right person for that, right?
That's really
So, but I would just learn about their lives, get like one or two factoids from that person, and then equate it to. And then the older you get, the more you have, the more
you've
knowledge-
done stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
the more you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
So I was wondering, when you're DMing,
Mm-hmm.
if there are tactics that you can employ at your table when there's like trying to get players to be more engaged.
Yeah, I would say that trying to get laughs from the players or the viewing audience, stand-up comedy fits in there, but DMing and exercising skills with the players more improv.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of people who are intimidated by improv. Oh, I can't do improv. I could never do that. Oh my,
Yeah.
you even mention the word and they're like run away. But it really, improv, we're doing it now. The three of us are doing improv right this second.
I'm playing a character. This is
Oh,
not
my
me.
bad. I didn't know you
is
pre-scripted
actually
this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Greg and I worked
see,
really hard on
See,
these
and you
scripts.
fooled me. You're good actors.
No, that was my line. Shelly and I work really hard on this script.
No, you were supposed to call me Greg during that one.
Oh, crap.
Right. That was.
And you guys
Oh,
have
that was the funny
memorized
bit.
this
That was the
whole thing.
joke.
I know.
So I do improv, and I think most DMs, even though they say they're not, they're doing improv, because say you're working with Descent to Avernus and you're following the book exactly.
Right.
But the players go, we're going to go over here to this non-area that isn't even in there. Then you have to deal with it. You have to.
Then you say, I just got a phone call, leave the room, and you don't come back.
Yeah. you leave, and you move to a different country.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you change your name to Kevin.
That's that's
from
one
Kevin.
answer. That's one way you can do it.
Kesha.
But yeah, improv, everybody's doing it, even if they think they're not doing it.
So if you have a player sitting at your table and their eyes are kind of not looking, they're not making eye contact with you, would you call upon that person, or would you let them feel like, oh, they are uncomfortable right now, let's just let them explore?
It depends. Is it day one? Do I not know them? I mean, there's a lot of factors. But if it's somebody who I think might be shy or has trouble engaging, I might do a group thing and say, Greg, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Shelly, what do you think? And what do you think? And then see if they'll throw in their 2 cents.
Yeah.
But I would just try to engage them. I wouldn't push it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to kill them in the first 2 seconds. That'll put them off the game.
Yeah. No, definitely don't want to do that.
Well, there's something you can be said too, like if someone is necessarily not engaging in, say, it's a specific type of game or something that's happening in the game, like a puzzle or something like that, and like you can see that there's 3 people who are really engaged in this puzzle and there's one who's not. You can, as a dungeon master, I definitely use skills that would be like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm engaging with this player who may not be enjoying this particular piece of content, and have a conversation with them and be like, oh, maybe there wasn't going to be a goblin NPC to speak to in that scene, but you might want to add one because that person, isn't engaged and can figure it out that way.
Yeah.
Right? Does that?
Yeah.
That's
Because there's a million ways to figure out. You got to find that person's spot. And then if you go through a whole session and they just don't say anything or they don't want to do it, you just ask them, for 2 minutes after the game, say, hey, what could I have done to get you more involved, or what do you think's missing, that kind of thing.
So, especially new people, they might just be a little intimidated by, am I supposed to speak in third person or first person? Do I need a voice? Like, do I refer to myself as my character or my player name?
And all of that is fine.
Yes.
It just depends.
So they might just feel a little awkward. But like with the puzzle thing, that's an interesting scenario, because there could be things like, there's always the players that are like, I don't want to solve puzzles. I want to beat things up. I want to kill things. Or, so like, would a tactic be like maybe give them a job? Like these people are going to do the puzzle, but you might have heard some noise in the hallway, and maybe you should stand by the door and make sure that nobody's coming.
You can sort of search for what you think makes them comfortable.
Yeah.
And then, but I would still encourage a conversation after the fact and say, hey, if you want to be involved more in the game and participate in all the different things, I can help you with ways to do that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your streams, are they generally people who know how to play D&D or new people?
Generally, they are. It's on hiatus right now, but I also have a thing called 5e pickup games, which is the same as a basketball pickup game idea, only you just come, you get the Fantasy Grounds demo for free, You never have to have played D&D. You never have to have used Fantasy Grounds, and I'll help you through that. And we don't really do an adventure per se. We just do like a 3 or 4 combat encounters for 2 hours and then call it quits.
That's cool.
And then my system is you can come and do that once, or you can come every session. And then I limit it to 6 players, and then people just rotate in and out, and we do it a couple days a week, do it 1 day a week. And then it wanes, it comes and goes. I've put it on hiatus twice since I started in late 2016, I think. And so it's off now. But then I'll bring it back, and then more people will come. And it's sort of a teaching with Fantasy Grounds, but also, hey, if you've never played D&D 5e, I pretty much know all the rules, so I can help you with how to do stuff and whatever. So
it's like a lot of coachable, teachable moments.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but the regular games that I have that are campaigns, usually those are all people who have been in my Discord server that I've gotten to know over a year or 2 or more, and played with them in a few one-shots, or got to know them over 3 or 4 games and know how they play, know what their style is, and then sort of groups just form. So now we're doing Acquisition Incorporated, we're doing Descent to Avernus, and we're doing Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which we played like 36 sessions, and we're on level 5. It's going to take 4 years to play this game.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a thick book.
And we're a couple of the people in the group are completionists. They want to open every door and go to every room.
Oh, dear.
Right? Yeah.
What are you doing with the open doors where it goes off map?
Oh, those portcullises don't lift or break.
Okay.
You can't go.
That's
the rule.
That's how you did it, so you can be like, all right, let's put some limits on what is going on here.
And I'm a player in that game as well, and so I'm having fun. And one of the guys on my Discord server, Joe Numbers, he's the DM. But we have a lot of fun doing that. And then when campaigns end, I then start another one because I want to run Rick and Morty because I think that's fun. Plus it's short. It's 1 through 3, the adventure, so that'll be fun.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. And we have a good time, and I've met a lot of people on my Discord server, but also because I do work for the DMs Guild, and I have like 175 titles there.
Okay,
I get a lot of...
What do you mean?
People, the DMs Guild. Chris
but
Lindsay's
like
genius thing that he came up with.
The DM, like you have 175 titles on
175. Now, the reason that number's so high is that I do conversion work for other creators. So if they make something PDF, I'll make the Fantasy Grounds version and then put it up there separately.
Oh, okay.
And then now there's 2 groups of people who want to look at it. Because I don't know how many D&D players there are actively, maybe 15 million. I have no idea what the number is.
400,000 million... Billion, quadrillion,
gazillion. Okay,
gazillion.
Infinity,
and beyond.
Fantasy Grounds is about 150,000, and it's growing exponentially. But it's not as many as who don't use it.
Nice.
So it's a very small amount of people, but they're rabid fans about it. And so I'll get an email or a PM saying, "Hey, this came out on the D Guild. When's the Fantasy Grounds?" Like, I don't even talk to the author. I don't know. I have to find out. So I have to chase these things down, and then. But I've been doing it for 4 years, so people come to me and they say, "Hey, will you do this?" So I work with a lot of creators. I've worked with over 100 creators on the DMs Guild.
Oh, that's great.
That before this, I didn't even know their names.
It's got to be exciting for them.
It's fun, yeah.
To know that they're gonna have their content converted over.
Yeah.
That people were asking for it.
There are a lot of people who don't know exactly what is involved with that. They've heard of Fantasy Grounds or they've heard of Roll20, but they're not like, what is? I don't understand. I just play at my kitchen table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I have to explain, this is something that you can do planet-wide with any other people on a virtual tabletop. And I can take the adventure you wrote or the tools you made or whatever it is, as long as it's 5th edition, and I can convert it, and then you'll have a second copy of it. And what my personal business model is, I don't charge these people any money. We just do rev split after it's done.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't cost them anything.
Right, and they're getting more money
Yeah,
because you're converting it.
Right. And when I first started, I'd get emails, "This seems like a scam. How are you doing this for free?" And I'm like, well, it's not for free. I'm just not charging you money up front. And then when you sell it on DMs Guild, we'll split the profit. Carve it up whichever way we see fit. And people were like, I don't it was very negative at first, but then now there's 175 titles.
Right, now that you've got the proof behind the pudding there. Wait, no. It's in the pudding.
Is the proof behind the pudding, Greg?
Yeah.
Is that where it is?
Is it on top of the pudding?
I'll dig through that pudding to get to that
It's
proof.
in the pudding. That's right. Yeah.
That's really cool. And have you written any actual adventures yourself?
I have. I've written one called Unknown Whom.
Whom?
And then Unknown Whom.
Whom?
Yeah. And then Unknown Whom 2 is there, and then Unknown Whom 3 is in my head, and people are screaming, "Where is it? Where is it?" And it's tough to do that. And actually, I wrote.
Where is it? Are those screaming voices
in your voice
head
as well?
too?
I hear them now, but it might be you guys.
Where is it?
It's in my cans.
That's what we say in the biz.
In my cans, yeah, that's what we say. So I wrote the first one by myself, and then I had a team of people. A collaboration. 4 of us wrote the second one. That didn't work out very well because of deadlines, and people can't. And I've got to go to the restaurant, and I'm not. My kids are sick, so that didn't work out. But we did finish it, and then the third one I'm going to go do myself again. But I have discovered that adventure lore is not my thing. Story is not my thing. I'm a mechanics guy.
Oh, okay.
I'm a murder hobo. I love dice and numbers and math.
Okay.
And maths and all that kind of
Mathematics.
Mathematics, yeah. And,
right.
And
that's a totally different style, but I think a lot of
yeah.
people love that. You know, you're not alone. There is a large group of folks who really just want to go into a room and kill some monsters.
Right. So the majority of the stuff that I have that's mine, that isn't collaborations with other creators, is tools and things to make the Fantasy Ground spells work automatically, and charts that you can roll random wizard spell book, and it rolls them all out and puts them into a spell book, stuff like that.
That's kind of neat.
So yeah, and I find that's what people come to me for, and that's sort of my little niche of the area of the deal is the tools and the mechanics stuff.
Are you a coder as well? Have you been working on that side at all?
I don't say that I'm a coder, but oddly, my most famous thing that people know me for, know my name on the DMs Guild, are the coding packages for Fantasy Grounds, which make the spells or the items work more automatically and flow better with mechanics within the game. And I've worked a little in XML, but I don't call myself a coder because I can't go write something all by myself in XML or anything like that. I can go in and look and see what someone else has done and pick it and change it and modify it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really a coder.
That's how it starts, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, you might grow into it more, but I've often heard where people started into the programming side of game design. They just were modders, and then they took what people had, and then
it just
grew.
got away. It just got out of hand. Like the very first thing I made was I think a class list. In 2016, right when DMs Guild started, I made a PDF of a class list and like what you got with that class. Like you get these 2 skills, and you get this is your hit die and whatever, just like a 1-page thing. And I put that up there, and I put it pay what you want, and then like 10 copies, and the next day 55 copies, and I'm like, oh, people are interested in this stuff. And then I somehow got into an email exchange with Matt McElroy at DMs Guild, and he said, some of the stuff that you're doing is interesting. You should put a price on it. And I said, oh, okay. And then now it's out of control. I mean, it's doing really well.
Great. I love that you found that niche to
I had
find
money to give to Extra Life because of DMs Guild. That's exactly where that money came from.
Well,
Thanks.
and thank you to everyone out there who's purchased stuff through Dungeon Masters Guild and supported that for helping the kids.
Yep.
And
you're all doing it.
This sounds corny, but I get a PM or an email from someone. Money's nice. It's nice. I like money. Everybody loves money.
You need
but
it.
What's really fun is getting an email or a PM from somebody that said, hey, I just bought your codes and we were playing, and our game is so much smoother and faster, and thank you so much. Keep up the great work. That's what really drives my brain, is getting something like that.
Yeah, you're making an impact.
Making an impact. And because I had a liver transplant and I was like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Now I found it.
That's really cool.
So you found the good in something that could potentially have set you back.
Been really bad, yeah.
Feel good story all around. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How can people get in touch and find out all of this stuff that you're doing?
The easiest way is ROB2E. If you punch that into anything, you'll find me. But I'm on the Twitters, I'm on the Facebooks, I'm on the YouTubes, I'm on the Twitches, I'm on the Discords, I'm on all of these. THE apostrophe S. These.
All of these.
Yeah, all of these.
I love that you do the thing that I do where you pluralize Twitters
I
and
tweeted
Twitches,
right before
because I just think that's silly and fun.
That's why I did it exactly today before the show. I tweeted that we were going to be talking about the D's and the other D's.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you again for your donation to Extra Life. You are a true hero.
Thank you.
Above and beyond. And maybe one day you and I will share a stage and we'll have mics.
I think you should.
That would be fun if there's ever a corporate thing and you and I'll get up and do stand-up.
Absolutely.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say we would use improvised weapons and beat each other,
Stage combat.
1d8 of damage.
That too.
Pow, pow.
Yes,
We'll
you're
do
very
that.
funny. You should actually go back to the stage.
People have asked me,
I
are
laughed
you
at all
going
your jokes so far.
I know you did. You're very nice, and you are a good audience. And Greg, but
Not laughing. Wait, hold on. Not
He's a
laughing.
comic. He's too hard to please.
I know. Actually, the fact that you can make a comic laugh is good, so I appreciated that. But people ask me that all the time, when are you going back to comedy? I'm like, the hour on stage was fantastic. The other 23 hours a day, not good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed on that point. Well, here's to it. You found your niche, and I'm loving that you're having as much success as you are, and giving some of that to the kids. So
Yep.
Yeah.
you are awesome.
Thank you.
You
Thank you very
are.
much. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right, well, we are going to take a short break. Then Shelly and I will do some intros and outros and bantery type things. We've got 2 episodes that we've got to do that for.
Whoa.
So we got to
We
stay
got to
on
do a lot of less banter.
stay on the schedule.
More sketchy.
More action.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break, everyone who's watching on the Twitches, and we'll be back in just a second. Thank
Thanks,
you again
everybody.
to Rob Twohy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay,
Yay. Yay, Rob.
Woo!